I am Paul. I am 89 years old. Welcome to our channel. And before I go, I am going to expose something that will make you look at every quiet person in your life differently. Your silent coworker, your reserved neighbor, that son or daughter who never causes trouble, that friend who just listens and nods while everyone else talks. You think they are harmless. You think they are weak. You think silence means submission. You are making the most dangerous mistake of your life. For 89 years, I have walked this earth. I have watched loud men fall and quiet ones rise. I have seen the talkers destroy themselves with their own words. And I have seen the silent ones strike when no one saw it coming. And I need to tell you something that took me 40 years and a destroyed partnership, a broken family, and one April morning I will never forget to finally understand. The quiet ones are always watching, always learning, always remembering. 3 weeks ago, my neighbor Sharon asked me why I keep to myself these days. She sees me on my porch, these trembling hands wrapped around my coffee cup, and she wonders why I do not join the evening gatherings anymore. I told her something I have never told anyone. I said, "Sharon, I spent 60 years of my life talking, arguing, explaining, defending. And the two people who destroyed me and saved me and taught me everything worth knowing, they barely said a word." She looked at me like I was senile. "But you are still here, listening. Which means some part of you already knows what I am talking about. You have someone in your life right now. Someone quiet. Someone you ignore in meetings. Someone you talk over at dinner. Someone you assume has nothing important to say. And late at night, when you cannot sleep, there is a small voice whispering. What are they thinking? What do they see that I do not? You can click away right now, young one. You can go back to your loud, distracted life. But if you do, I promise you this, 10 years from now, when the quietest person in your life makes a move you never saw coming, when they leave without warning or strike without mercy or reveal they have been 3 steps ahead of you the entire time, you will remember this moment. You will remember that an 89-year-old man with death sitting on his shoulder tried to warn you. And you will realize you were too arrogant to listen. Let me take you back to 1981. I was 43 years old. I had a manufacturing business in Pennsylvania. We made industrial parts for construction equipment. Nothing glamorous, but it paid well. I had a partner, a man named Walter Brennan. We had known each other since high school. Opened the business together in '69. Walter was the quietest man I ever met. In 12 years of partnership, I cannot remember him raising his voice once. In meetings, I did the talking. At sales dinners, I charmed the clients. When we had disputes with suppliers, I made the calls, sent the letters, hammered out the deals. Walter just worked. He showed up at 6 in the morning, left at 7 at night, barely said 10 words most days. I thought he was simple. I really did. I thought I was the brains, and he was the hands. I thought his silence meant he had nothing to contribute beyond manual labor and bookkeeping. At parties, people would ask, "What does Walter do?" And I would laugh and say, He keeps the lights on while I run the business. I thought it was a joke. He never corrected me, never argued, just nodded, smiled that small, tight smile. Then came November of 1981, a Friday afternoon. The light coming through the factory windows had that weak, gray quality it gets in late autumn. I walked into the office and found an envelope on my desk. Inside was a letter, typed, formal, and a check for half the value of the business. Walter was buying me out. No warning. No conversation. Just a letter explaining that he had secured independent financing, that he had documentation of every contract I had bungled, every client I had offended with my big mouth, every supplier who preferred working with him over me. He had testimonials. He had numbers. He had a lawyer. And he had already spoken to our 3 biggest clients. They had agreed to stay on if he took full control. I stood there in that cold office, my breath fogging in the unheated air, and I realized something that made my stomach turn. Walter had been building this move for years. Quietly, patiently, while I was talking and backslapping and playing the big man, he was watching, learning, documenting, positioning. He had never been simple. He had been strategic. I took the buyout. I had no choice. And for the next 15 years, I watched Walter grow that business into something worth 10 times what we had built together. He never gloated, never mentioned it. When we saw each other at the hardware store or the diner, he would nod politely and move on. It took me 23 years to realize what Walter had taught me. Quiet people are not passive. They are conserving energy. They are not confused. They are calculating. They are not waiting for permission. They are waiting for the right moment. And you never see it coming. Now, when your father tells you to stop underestimating the quiet kid in class, he is actually trying to protect you from your own arrogance. When your wife says, "You never really listen to Jenny," she is telling you that your silent daughter is building a world you know nothing about. When your manager warns you not to dismiss the new guy who never speaks up, they are saying, that person is absorbing everything, and one day they will use it. But you do not listen. You listen to the loud ones. You watch the aggressive ones. You worry about the people who make threats and pound tables and send angry emails. Meanwhile, the quiet person in the corner is studying you. They see that you interrupt people. They notice that you take credit for others' work. They remember that you promised something in March and broke that promise in July. They are building a file in their mind, and they do not forget. When you are loud, you release pressure constantly. You shout, you vent, you argue, and then you move on. When you are quiet, the pressure builds and builds until one day it does not. They will leave your company without warning, taking half your clients with them. They will file for divorce after years of silent suffering, and you will say, "But I had no idea anything was wrong." They will cut you out of their life completely, and you will never get an explanation because they already gave you 1,000 small signals you were too self-absorbed to notice. They will clip your wings while smiling politely, and you will not realize you are falling until you hit the ground. This is the great illusion of modern life. You think power is loud. You think strength means dominating conversations and making your presence known. You think the person who speaks the most is the person in control. And you are falling for it right now. The breaking point came when I was 57 years old. My son Michael was 24. He had always been a quiet kid, took after his mother more than me, thank God. While I filled rooms with my voice, Michael would sit in the corner with a book, or later, with his sketch pad. He wanted to be an architect. I thought it was a phase. I wanted him in business. Sales management, something practical, something loud. We had the same argument for years, except it was not really an argument, because Michael never argued. He would sit across from me at the kitchen table. That same tight smile Walter used to have, and he would nod while I explained how competitive architecture was, how he would starve, how he needed to be realistic. His mother, Catherine, would say, "He is not you. Let him breathe." But I knew better. I always knew better. April 14th, 1995. I will never forget it. I came home from a conference in Pittsburgh. Catherine was sitting at the kitchen table in the dark, just sitting there, staring at nothing, her hands folded like she was praying. She said, "Michael is gone." I thought she meant dead. My whole body went cold. She said, "He left this morning. Took 2 bags. He is moving to Seattle. He got accepted to a graduate program in architecture. He has been planning it for 8 months. He did not tell you, because he knew you would try to stop him." I stood there in my own kitchen, the smell of Catherine's cold coffee in the air, the refrigerator humming like it always did, everything normal, except nothing was normal, and I realized my own son had executed a Walter Brennan on me. He had been quiet, patient, strategic, and the moment he was ready, he moved. No discussion, no warning, no permission. I did not speak to Michael for 2 years. My pride would not let me. I told myself he was ungrateful, that I had been trying to protect him, that he owed me respect. But late at night, when the house was silent and my wife slept, and my mind would not stop, I would ask myself the question that still haunts me. Was I angry because Michael left? Or was I angry because he proved that silence is more powerful than all my words ever were? If you want to navigate this life without losing the people who matter, without being blindsided by those you underestimate, without waking up one day to discover you have been outmaneuvered by someone you dismissed, there are brutal truths you must carve into your heart. First truth: quiet people are not empty vessels. They are full reservoirs. While you are talking, they are thinking. While you are performing, they are observing. While you are trying to be the smartest person in the room, they are actually becoming the smartest person in the room. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote, "Observe the movements of the stars as if you were running their courses with them, and let your mind constantly dwell on the changes of the elements into each other. Such imaginings wash away the filth of life on the ground. The quiet ones are running those courses. They see patterns you miss because you are too busy talking to pay attention. Do not mistake their silence for ignorance. That is your ego protecting itself from the truth. They understand more than you do because they listen more than you speak. Second truth. Quiet people do not give warnings. Loud people telegraph everything. They complain. They threaten. They give you 100 chances to see the storm coming. If you do that one more time, I swear I will leave. I am not going to put up with this much longer. You are pushing me to my limit. The quiet ones, they just leave. No final argument. No dramatic exit. One day they are there, and the next day they are gone. And you are standing in the wreckage, wondering what happened. They do not believe in warnings because they have already given you 1,000 small signals. The hurt in their eyes when you interrupted them. The way they stopped sharing their ideas after you shot them down. The gradual retreat into silence as they realized you were never going to truly see them. You missed every signal because you were not watching. You were talking. Third truth. Underestimating quiet people is the most common and most expensive mistake you will ever make. In business, in love, in family, the pattern is always the same. The quiet employee you ignored gets hired by your competitor and takes your best ideas with them. The quiet spouse you took for granted files for divorce and moves on faster than you thought possible. The quiet child you tried to control builds a life you have no access to, and you are shocked. Every time, you are shocked. Because you genuinely believed that silence meant weakness. You thought that if they were truly capable, truly strong, truly valuable, they would have said something. They would have fought back. They would have made noise. No. They were just done wasting energy on someone who was not listening anyway. Fourth truth. The danger of quiet people is not that they will hurt you out of malice. It is that they will leave you behind without looking back. This is what nobody tells you. The real danger is not some calculated revenge. Walter did not destroy my life. He just moved forward with his own. Michael did not ruin me. He just stopped letting me ruin him. The danger is indifference. Quiet people have already done the emotional work of letting you go before they physically leave. They have already mourned the relationship. They have already accepted that you will never change. By the time they act, they are already at peace with losing you. And that is why it feels so cold. That is why it feels so final, because it is. Fifth truth. You fear quiet people because deep down, you know they see the truth of you. This is the one that stings, my friend. You are uncomfortable around quiet people because they are mirrors. They do not fill the silence with pleasantries and small talk and performative nonsense. They just exist. And in that existence, you see yourself reflected clearly. Your insecurities, your need for validation, your desperate attempt to control every conversation, every room, every narrative. The quiet person does not need any of that. And it terrifies you because it reveals that maybe you do not need it either. Maybe all your noise is just fear dressed up as confidence. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. You crave noise. You crave attention. You crave constant validation that you are important, that you matter, that you are in control. The quiet person has moved beyond that craving, and you cannot stand it. So what do you do with this knowledge? You build what I call the fortress of attention. Not attention you demand from others, but attention you give to others. Every time you are in a room with a quiet person, you stop talking and you watch. You notice what they do with their hands when someone speaks. You see who they look at when a decision is being made. You observe the pattern of when they choose to speak, because when they do speak, it matters. Every time you feel the urge to fill a silence, you resist it. You let the silence sit. You see what emerges from it. Some of the most important words I ever heard came after 10 seconds of uncomfortable quiet that I almost interrupted. Every time you assume the loud person is the leader, you check yourself. You look for the quiet person in the back, who everyone unconsciously defers to. That is your real leader. That is your real threat. That is your real opportunity. Every time you are about to dismiss someone because they do not perform confidence, the way you think confidence should look, you remember Walter, you remember Michael, you remember every quiet person who outmaneuvered the loud ones while the loud ones were busy performing. Because here is what is coming, young one. The storms of life do not announce themselves. The betrayals do not send invitations. The losses do not give warnings. And when those storms hit, the loud people in your life will scatter. They will be too busy with their own noise, their own drama, their own performance. Your loud friends will have loud problems. Your loud colleagues will be fighting loud battles. But the quiet ones, if you have earned their respect, if you have truly seen them, if you have given them the attention and space they deserve, they will be the ones who show up. They will be the ones who act. They will be the ones who save you without needing credit or applause. You must learn to read silence the way you read words. You must learn to respect stillness the way you respect action. You must learn to see the quiet ones before it is too late, because they already see you. Look at me. Look at these liver-spotted hands that shake when I hold my coffee. Look at this face with skin like old paper. I am 89 years old. I am in the final chapter, and the pages are running out faster than I can turn them. I have one foot in this world and one foot in the next, and I am telling you, the graveyards are full of loud men who died surrounded by people and completely alone. Men who talked so much they never learned to listen. Men who commanded attention, but never gave it. Men who died wondering why their children did not call, why their partners left, why the people who mattered most were nowhere to be found at the end. When I say never trust a quiet person, I am not telling you to fear them, or avoid them, or treat them as enemies. It is the exact opposite. I am telling you to see them, to respect them, to understand that their silence is not a void you need to fill. It is a strength you need to honor. When you stop underestimating quiet people, you stop losing them. When you stop trying to make everyone loud, you start hearing what actually matters. When you stop performing and start observing, you finally understand how power really works in this world. I reconciled with Michael 7 years after he left. He invited me to Seattle for his graduation. He had a small apartment in Capitol Hill, huge windows overlooking the city, drafting papers everywhere. I sat on his couch, a second-hand thing that smelled like coffee and rain, and I watched him talk about his thesis project with more passion than I had ever brought to any business deal. And I realized he had not been quiet because he had nothing to say. He had been quiet because he knew I was not ready to listen. I told him I was sorry. He just nodded. That same tight smile. He said, "I know, Dad. We did not become best friends. We did not have some movie moment of tearful reunion. But we had something better. We had honesty." He had taught me to pay attention, and I finally did. He is 53 now. Runs his own firm in Portland. We talk every Sunday. The conversations are short, but they are real. Catherine died 4 years ago. The morning she passed, she was holding my hand in the hospital, and she said, "You finally learned to be quiet." I said, "Took me long enough." She said, "Better late than never." Those were her last words. Better late than never. I love Walter Brennan, wherever he is now. I forgive him. Though there was never anything to forgive. He was just a quiet man who refused to be underestimated anymore. He taught me that silence is not submission. He taught me that the person who speaks the least often understands the most. I love my son. I forgive myself for almost losing him. I was just a scared man, trying to control a world that was never mine to control in the first place. But I will never forget. I will never again dismiss someone because they do not perform the way I think strength should look. You have one life, one brief, precious, unrepeatable life. And you are surrounded by quiet people, carrying entire universes inside them. People who see everything, feel everything, understand everything, and say almost nothing. Do not wait until they are gone to wonder what they were thinking. Do not wait until they outmaneuver you to respect what they were capable of. Do not wait until you are 89 and sitting alone on a porch to finally understand that the most dangerous person in your life was never the loud enemy. It was the quiet ally you failed to see. If these words resonated with the quiet part of your soul, the part you keep hidden from the noise of the world, I ask you to subscribe to this channel. Not because I care about numbers. I am 89 years old, and I will be in the ground soon enough. But because in this loud, screaming, distracted world, you need a place to be reminded of what is real. You need a voice that does not perform, does not sell, does not demand. You need a space to be quiet. And to know that your quiet is not weakness. It is the most dangerous weapon you will ever have. Take care of your mind, young one. Watch the quiet ones. Become one if you need to. And remember, the people who change your life rarely announce themselves. They just appear. They just act. They just leave. Pay attention before it is too late. Time is shorter than you think.